the Sharks win, well, what initially was a close one in the third, but they ended up piling on a little bit and beat the Kings 5-2. So we're going to have all of that and more after this. But first, if you want to be a part of the show, please catch us on all of the social media and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Reddit, Discord, all at Tealtown USA. And of course, check us out on the website, tealtownusa.com. I am joined this evening by Mr. Al Martinet. Al, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. As far as the game goes, the boys pulled it out in that third and, kind of made up for that lackluster second. And, so they were able to have me. I'm a little bit off kilter right now because I was all prepping for us to win 3-2, and I was going to be kind of pissed off about this game because there was a lot of, I don't know. We'll get into it in a minute, but it's sloppiness from the Sharks.
I mean, I was off tilter too because I was kind of prepping on the Sharks actually losing because they started Jones 6 straight tonight. I was kind of in favor of Dudnik starting against the Ducks, and I thought this was potentially another game where you might have started Dudnik again. But again, the Sharks have had 2 rest days in a row, which is kind of a rarity, especially with this tight COVID schedule. And it didn't get off to a good start. I mean, 1-0 in the first minute or two for LA. Was kind of prepping on the Sharks, kind of essentially letting this one go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's just go right into it. In that first period, LA comes out and scores 2 minutes and 27 seconds in. IX Alafalo with his 10th on the year. But this one, to me, this one really bothered me because Burns just blew past his assignment, man. And it's like, you're supposed to be a Norris defenseman there, and he just totally stops up on the play. It was like a mental gaffe, you know what I mean? And it just, I don't know, there was just something about that play that made me feel like maybe the team wasn't getting ready to go on time. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I thought the Sharks progressively played better throughout tonight. But this was definitely the one bad moment for Burns. Burns had 4 assists tonight, but Burns periodically throughout the season has made multiple defensive lapses, especially early on in the season. But I think he's kind of cleared that up, especially now, especially in the last couple of weeks. He's been more consistent, especially EK. I thought that was another good showcase for him tonight. But even for those two, they will have defensive lapses, even though they're high quality players.
Yeah. No, I'm in. Again, I think, we'll go through it. I think, Burns kind of progressively picked it up, but it's just those kind of defensive gaffes that really, kind of leave me scratching my head. I mean, Benjamin Kessel bringing this up, and he's like, Burns a right winger in declothing. I don't care that he's got a Norris. He does kind of have that, reckless abandon, but also like, I don't know, man. Again, it just those he'll have those nights or those gaffes in a game, and you're just like, boy, that's really not good.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, I mean, we can't rip on him too much because later on in the first, he gets an assist on a beautiful breakout pass. Burns over to Ferraro, up to Kevin, and Kevin just snipes the right hand corner. Boy, shooter shot, and he needed that one. Just to kind of affirm his quick shot there, man.
Yeah, before that, there were a couple of chances for LeBanc where he had the chance to shoot it and he kind of overpassed it. But this time he has a really good shot if he actually takes the time and shoots it. Um, Maybe this is like carryover from Joe Thornton, but um, once again, whenever he shoots it, I think he has one of the best shots on the Sharks. Um, but when um,
He just
yeah,
defers a lot. He
he
defers a
just
lot.
defers way too much, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I'm totally there with you, Al, on that. I think that LeBanc is definitely pass first guy, but again, it's like he's got a deceptively good shot. So I like seeing him get that one. Definitely a nice snipe. And then 13:50 into that first period, Patrick Marleau with his fourth on the season. Kind of a weird play where Brent Burns gets it out from the half wall, gets it over to Marcus, and then Marcus just kind of throws it on net, and Patty's, extending his skate there. You're allowed to redirect. They did take a look at it and deemed it a good goal. And so Patty with his fourth. And all of a sudden, that fourth line is starting to chip in here and there, Al.
Yeah, I mean, this is more or less Burns' goal. I just kind of hit off the skate, but um, I thought this was one of Burns' best game. I thought he was more consistent from start to finish, besides that opening frame.
Yeah.
But I minus the opening frame, I thought the Sharks really did kind of control the flow of the game.
Yeah, and I think for me it was kind of like maybe about 5 minutes into that first they kind of get their legs, but it seemed like LA kind of had a script to kind of pounce on them really early. And caught them napping at the very beginning of the first period. But after that 5 minute mark, it seemed like they were kind of turning it on slowly. You get then a goal about 4 minutes after Patrick, and you got Rudolph Balcers, his sixth on the year. Timo and Eric get the assists. And boy, Balcers is starting to put together a little bit of a cause for him to be in the top six. I mean, the kid has just been producing with Hurdle and Meyer, and it just seems like those three have a good thing going right now on that line. What are you thinking, Al?
I think I like the chemistry. I think there's more of the consistency with those three in net, or those three on ice.
Yeah.
But also, I just like having that type of speed on ice. Whenever the Sharks don't have that type of speed, they tend to get bullied, and they just don't have the physical nature to go against teams like St. Louis, teams like Vegas, and even like they don't have the speed to go against Colorado, which I think is probably the most premier team right now.
Yeah.
I think it's a better matchup when they have some speed element to go against.
Yeah. No, I think you're kind of on to something there because, when they do play that heavy game and, put Handemark on the fourth line or, God forbid they'll have, both VL and Gabriel on the same line, and it's like, when the team goads them into carrying the sluggers, the team definitely gets beat on a kind of a talent level. So, I mean, speaking of Vial, I think we kind of have to talk a little bit about him because tonight he took a really good shot, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, this guy can shoot the puck. I mean, that was a legit one timer he took.
I think I need to see a little bit more, but I've liked what I've seen. I don't think he's played a lot of minutes. I'm just gonna check the box score real fast, but I think he's been averaging like around 10 to 11 minutes per night, which is kind of what you can kind of see for rookies. But I like what he's brought in. I think it's more stable than the other enforcer. I'm blanking on his name.
Curtis Gabriel.
Gabriel, who I think what he's brought in was kind of nice, but I think it was just not what the team needed at the moment. So if you can get more shooting from Veal, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like his kind of combination of size, and he's got like I said, he's got a deceptively good shot. So I'd be interested to see. Hopefully he'll get his goal here soon. It'd be go ahead.
Yeah, Veal played 8 minutes tonight, so more consistent off that fourth line is probably what the Sharks are kind of looking for right there.
Yeah, no, I mean, 8 minutes is good. I think if all things considered, you'd probably want him, or at least the fourth line consuming about 10 minutes a night, 11 minutes a night. So, I think they have a little bit of work to do, but I saw signs of life from Sorensen tonight. I thought Patty had a good night tonight as well. So yeah, I mean the team it's seeming as if when the big guys aren't scoring, you're now starting to see the depth kind of bubble up a little bit. And we'll talk about the depth coming through in the third. But we got to talk about the second period. And in this period, to me, the only two people that really brought it throughout that second period was Balcers and Jones, because oh my goodness, they got it was an onslaught in that second period. And I'm just going through it here on the shots on goal in the second. And I mean, Al, it was 11-8 is what the box score says, but that didn't feel like 11-8. That felt like the Kings were in the majority of the Sharks zone, and the Sharks were hanging on for dear life.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've been pretty much just a Jones defender all season. I think there's been plenty of times this season where he's been shaky, but for the past 11 to 12 games, he's really come to form. And I'm not going to talk playoffs because I think they're a little bit out of depth right now, or out of reach. But this is another showcase for Jones. And you have to be still skeptical because these have all been against LA teams, the Ducks, the Kings, teams that the Sharks need to beat. So, but once again, this is another great game for Jones.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if they could get a taker, for Jones, I mean, that would be totally awesome, and I would definitely look into that. But I don't think anybody's going to touch him with that contract. No, I will tell you what Al is. Al is an anti-Niemi apologist, okay? That is his dude.
We can go another hour on Niemi if you really wanted to do that. I haven't brought up his name all year, so that's on you.
It's like Vancouver paging one puck guy, right? We've got some stuff trickling in from the locker. Thank you, AJ, for the quotes there. Talking Jones. Okay, here we go. The Balcers is improving every day. Doesn't give enough credit for the grunt work he's doing on that line. I mean, definitely saved a goal. He had basically, a puck right in the blue paint, just sitting there waiting for a King to deposit it in that empty net, and Balcers has the wherewithal to pull out of the pile and then figure out where that puck was. Did you see that play, Al?
Yeah. I really, yeah. It's really not much to say there.
Yeah, Couture on the win. We were flat Tuesday. Tonight I thought we were okay. We gave up some grade A chances but found a way to win. Yeah. And I think the captain is a little bit on to something there. And at the end of the third, it looked like the team was dogging it a little bit. They seemed a little tired.
Yeah.
So I don't know what kind of performance we're going to get tomorrow. I mean, everybody's tired. I mean, this schedule is just insane. So I mean, at this point, I don't know how good the team is going to come out tomorrow, but I wouldn't be surprised if they take a little bit to wade into the next one.
Uh, this is a back-to-back. I'd be really surprised if Jones gets another start. That'd make it 7 in a row. Um, I, if Jones doesn't start, I don't really see an opportunity where Jones gets another start or Dubnik gets another start anytime soon, unless they're really making a push before NHL trade deadline. Um, like this is the opportunity for Dubnik. So
Yeah. I mean, so I guess I mean, well, so going into the third period, I guess. Well, let's round this off before we do, a little bit of prognosticating on the trade deadline, because I think that there's some interesting storylines there. But in that third period, Jarrett Anderson Dolan catches Jones on a. I mean, this was a wicked angle shot, and I do not fault Jones for this one at all, because as a goaltender, you're supposed to be on your skates when the puck is in the boards, especially when it's coming right out of the trapezoid. You're taught to be on your skates at that point, and that just found that far foot, and that was just one of those crazy bounces that you could do that 10 times and not score it once on that. You know what I mean?
like again, similar to the first goal. Also, this was early on in the period. Um, Jones was probably not quite set and wasn't ready for that shot from that point. Very rare to see a shot from there. Again, don't blame Jones, just like you said, but would have liked to see him more aware of where LA was shooting from. Just didn't even look like he was looking at the LA forward.
Yeah, I think he kind of was paying a little bit more attention to the slot, because there were a couple guys that were kind of waiting for a rebound. So yeah, I see where you're going there, where you want to see him maybe track the play a little bit better there, but it is what it is at that point. And that was in that first minute, and it looked like LA was really pushing the pedal to the metal in that first 10 minutes of the third period. And then the Sharks took a high sticking penalty there by Hurdle, and you're thinking, oh boy, one of your better penalty killers is out. The guy who really wins draws is in the box. The team is looking a little gassed, and you're
Yeah.
thinking, oh boy, this is prime comeback territory right now. You could kind of feel like LA was, looking for something there. They could feel
Looking
it.
to steal a point at least.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, you get some really, really good penalty killing by Burns, Kane, and Gambrel. And basically what ends up happening is Burns is kind of stuck in the corner. He's got the puck on his stick, and Gambrel knew that he was kind of controlling it. It had already started out of the zone and was basically at the offensive blue line. Burns with a picture perfect pass and goes in 2-on-1 with Kane. Kaner with a nice feather on the cross pass to Gambrel, and Gambrel buries it. That's his fourth on the season. And Al, I mean, are we finally seeing the Dylan Gambrel that Denver Pioneer, really good NCAA player? I mean, has the kid finally put it together?
I mean, I would hope. Like, I'm gonna give out hope for anyone, but like, it is. You see it time and time again where goalies in their late 30s can possibly have a second life in their career, but not as much for forwards. So for Dylan Gambrell, like, this is really his last chance. Like, maybe he might have another year to prove himself, but this is kind of his prove it year. He might have another chance next year just because I think the state of the forward depth for the Sharks, he's going to get another chance. But I think he's shown a lot of improvement let's just say the last 3 weeks. Uh, and I think that's kind of just dependent on who he's played with.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that Gambrel has definitely proven himself on the defensive side of the puck. You can definitely see that um, you can see his evolution as a center as well, winning more draws, and just being a little bit more all around trustworthy in all three zones. So, for me, Gambrell is. I think he's starting to get it. I want to see him consistently put in an effort night in, night out. But yeah, I think he's starting to get it. So, if the team can really get him to be that third line center that can really, have a good transition from the top six to the bottom six, then you've got the makings of a good center there.
I,
So
I think I think there's a real hope that he becomes another Barclay Goodrow, that the Sharks can like trade for a potential second or third round pick. I think there's I don't think there's a real like when I say trade for a second or third round pick, you trade to another Stanley Cup contender who could use that forward depth. For the state of the Sharks, you're not really like you're still kind of in this weird position where you're looking for small pieces, and I'm just by the way the roster's constructed, they're really looking for picks at this moment.
yeah, no, I think you're right. It's all about trying to get assets. So whatever you can parlay for assets, I think the time is nigh to get it right. Um, yeah. So I mean, again, we'll see where Gambrell ends up, but I'm liking a little bit of the trajectory he's on this season. Right now, he is on pace for let's see here. Last season he played 50 games, had 11 points. Right now through 34 games, he has 10 points. Or 35 games he's got 10 points.
Yeah.
So 56, he's probably going to end up 19 points, 18 points. Maybe if he's got a little bit of a burst, he can get to 20 points. And I think you've probably bought himself another year, in the organization as far as wanting to see him, take the next step. But if he regresses, then I think, I don't think that that's good either. So, but anyways, the team really worked hard on that penalty kill and were rewarded with the shorthanded goal. And then the Kings decide to pull the goalie. They're going to try to do the man advantage, actually a 2-man advantage, because they were still on the power play at this point when they pulled him. And then Tomas Hertl seals the deal with an empty net goal, his 12th on the season. Kane and Couture with the assists there. Good to see Hertl, rewarded for always being a good defensive player. And that was the game. And so, like you said, Al, Brent Burns kind of redeems himself from having that gaff in the first. Martin Jones puts up a .941 save percentage, 32 of 34 shots saved. And the Sharks, do all their damage 5-on-5. And, I think the team, it was good that they won tonight, especially because Arizona, lost out and they're starting to kind of claw. But I also don't want the majority of the fans to feel like, boy, we're closing in on the playoffs. And the reason why I put some caution up is because that end schedule is brutal.
Yes. Yeah, like the end schedule. I'm gonna have to look up the updated one, but the Sharks really did dig themselves a huge hole in the first 2 months of the season where they blew six leads, and that's that's about 12 points right there.
Right.
Um, and they've been working themselves out of this hole, but at a certain point, like if this wasn't for this stretch the last 2 weeks, um, I would have been more in favor of them just tanking and getting a better playoffs or getting a better draft spot. Um, and you know, it's really interesting what they're going to be doing um, for the trade deadline, because I think they're going to have to, like, with the way this roster is constructed, I think they're going to have to go for a playoff spot just because they have EK65, his contract, just the way that Burns' contract is lined up. They really do have to just go for it every year just because they don't have much to. That's what Doug Wilson has kind of set up this team forward to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I see the team being, standing pat at this point. I don't see them shipping off any pieces because I think they'll feel like it'll mess with the mojo. And I could potentially see them adding some contract, like maybe taking on some salary in a three-way deal. They've already said that they're willing to use their salary space as as a weapon. And I mean, I again, I don't know what's in Doug Wilson's head right now, but again, I hope that he's not looking at this stretch thinking, he's got gold, but you're looking at foos gold.
Yeah, like right now, like it's an easy stretch for the Sharks. They play Anaheim and then Minnesota. But after Minnesota, they play three straight games against Vegas. Take in mind that anything can change with COVID. So just take that in mind. But three straight games against Vegas, then Minnesota, then Arizona, then four straight games against Colorado, then two straight games against Arizona. Oh, someone already put that in the chat. But it's like you can make up some ground, but having at least, you know, three games against Vegas that we haven't even like. I think we've gone to Vegas. We've gone to OT against Vegas once, and it wasn't really a close game, to be frank.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and that's I mean, you're looking at the two games against Minnesota, and you're thinking, okay, the Sharks have been playing Minnesota pretty well, and they are looking like, hopefully you could get 3 out of 4 points from that series, but then you're going to Vegas, and then you're closing out with Colorado, and the way Colorado is playing, I mean. Al, I'm thinking that they're gonna really. I mean that series could just put the nail in the coffin. You know what I mean? They could come and break our hearts. Being close to a playoff spot, and then Colorado just curb stomping them.
So far, the Sharks' record against Colorado is 1-3.
Yeah.
Um, AJ's saying the Blue schedule is worse, but frankly,
It's neck and neck.
it's neck and neck.
Yeah, yeah. It's crap and crape, basically.
Um, I think it's been a great stretch, and I think the Sharks have to really go for the playoffs. But I think it's important to keep your expectations pretty low because um, this team started in a pretty desperate stretch where they lost a lot of the games pretty early, and they're probably not going to dig themselves out of a hole.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could. Ah, man, it's because Vegas and Colorado right now. I mean, Vegas is at 54 points and Colorado's at 58. Um, do you see Colorado giving up that first spot?
I would have to look at their schedule, but I think Colorado is the best team in the league. Um, you know, I love their forward depth. I think their one Achilles heel is their goaltending.
Yeah.
So if you're in, you might have a bad 2 week stretch with a goaltender where, that might steer you off a couple of points. That might lose you a playoff spot. Um, Colorado, just by a quick look at its schedule, they play St. Louis, Vegas, San Jose for 4 straight games, and LA. They have a pretty easy schedule going down the stretch. Um, if I had a bet, I think they get the presidency um,
Yeah.
for this season, just by looking at their schedule. And St. Louis is pretty banged up too with their injuries.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think that, um, boy, yeah, I think Colorado's gonna run away with it, and if the Sharks do manage to get in, I mean, a first round appearance against Colorado that would be a slaughter. I mean, the 4 games that the Sharks have played against Colorado, they did not look close. Even the one that they won.
No. Uh, the one that they won against, they scored like 5 straight goals in the second period. So
Yeah.
something was up that night.
Yeah, that is for sure. So, um, I mean oh boy, um, I was just looking at the Canucks plan to complete the season after their 14-day virus pause. I mean that's pretty crazy how bad COVID has hit Vancouver at this point. But I'm just trying to look at the general feel for the marketplace this year, and I don't know, man. I feel like it's going to be fairly quiet. I think people are I think too trigger shy, especially with everything going on with COVID, and I think we maybe see 1 or 2 more deals, and that'd be it.
The other holdup is if you're trading to a Canadian team, you have to be in a 2 week quarantine. So,
I think that went down to 1 week.
okay, still
Yeah,
a 1 week quarantine
yeah,
in a condensed COVID schedule. That's another holdup. And I think if you're looking at the salary cap, I think a number of teams are going to look at the budget and shrink it. And that's probably why I don't think Dubnik is going to get traded. Just his salary is just probably a little bit too high, and potentially the Sharks might retain 50% of it just to get him off the books. But I don't even know why you would do that unless you get draft capital back.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree, and I'm just kind of looking through here on the TSN, the trade bait, and they're saying St. Louis Blues maybe being a wild card. Maybe the Kings with Iafallo to see if they can get him to re-sign. If not, then moving him. Stars getting some calls, but again, I mean, like who wants Devin Dubnik though? I mean, he's just hasn't put together a very convincing season. I mean, he's at 898 with a 3.18 goals against. I mean, ugh. I don't know who would want that, Al. Like, what? And then we talk about Marcus Sorensen, but he's been so hit or miss. And then we also think about Matt Nieto, but he's still on the injury block. So it's like, what real pieces that the Sharks have that people would want?
I like Nieto, but if there's injury concerns, that's probably another reason why you're not going to see a lot of trade offers for him. Um, I think that's another forward the Sharks are probably going to bring back next season. A low cost veteran who can show a younger guy the ropes. I like Nieto a lot. He's a good locker room guy. Again, I think that's another person that fits into the Dylan Gambrel category.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you're liking what they bring, but you also want to maximize the value, right? So if that means trading him and getting some pieces back, then you go ahead and do that. Um, So I think, overall, I think it's going to be pretty fairly quiet deadline, especially for the Sharks. Wouldn't surprise me if we don't see any kind of moves. Maybe, again, facilitating a three-way trade or something like that, taking on some salary. But yeah, I don't really see it being all that exciting this year, which is unfortunate. But hey, that's just kind of the way that it is right now, especially with COVID. So, um, quickly for all the fans, we really appreciate everybody hopping on, engaging with us in the chat, and engaging with us on Twitter. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. We are on the trek to 2,300 followers. So again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell a friend, tell two friends, and then of course, if you want to, give any kind of donations or any kind of tips or beer money or whatever, you can hit us up using the YouTube chat, of course. But I think our preferred way right now is Venmo, and it's at Teal Town. Is it at Teal Town USA or just at Teal Town? Do you remember, Al?
It is at 1 second, Teal Town USA.
Teal Town USA. Well, and so yeah, no, appreciate everything that you guys do, guys and gals do for us. And again, we do this for the fans. We do this because we love it, but we also do it because we want to get the information out there to everybody, and just have a real nice place to talk hockey and talk about our team. All right, Al. Well, I think that's pretty much it for what I've got for this evening. I know that everybody is clamoring for their favorite segment, but we only have 17 likes, so it's like, I don't know, 25 likes, and we can do we can do the favorite segment, but I don't see that happening in the next couple minutes. So
well,
you
can do it.
Oh, don't encourage him. Al, I mean, so any thoughts? Why brush on the league, or anything that you're seeing from the Sharks? Give us some words of wisdom. And
so I'll just say that if the Sharks are going to make a playoff push, it's going to be the big three: Burns, Jones, and Carlson. If those three are not consistent, the Sharks don't really have any real shot. Those three when they've been on their top of the game, the Sharks have been really good this season. It's just been consistency. Forward depth is still an issue, and that's still going to be an issue all season. And there's probably not going to be a fix for during the trade deadline, but that's really the thing to watch, is if those three players are on their game, the Sharks have a shot every game.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess since AJ has said it, Chris S. already sponsored tonight's reach around via an early donation on Venmo. So Chris S., thank you very much for that. And I guess you guys want it, so we'll do it.
Have the goddamn common courtesy to give him a reach around.
Yes, it's that time that you know and love. It is the NHL Reach Around. Okay, so for tonight's action, we're starting over in the East. Capitals and Sabres. Capitals win 4-3. The Sabres' woes continue. The Capitals seem to be making a march towards President's trophies like they always do. And Al, I mean, thoughts on the Capitals? I mean, I think that they're starting to kind of push away over there.
I think they're one of the best teams in the East. I think it speaks more to that division than anything else.
Okay, thinly veiled way of saying the East is the weaker conference, but
I mean, when you play with Buffalo, no offense.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Penguins beat the Devils 6-4. Talk about another team that's trying to figure out its way right now, but the Devils are in dire straits there insofar as kind of the direction of which they're taking. It seems like it's kind of stalled out a little bit, but Penguins are now 26-13-2. doing Penguin things. The Rangers beat the Islanders in the Battle of the Empire State 4-1. The Islanders still sitting at 26-11-4. Rangers now move to 19-16-5. Wild get roughed up by the Blues, and boy, the Blues needed this badly because they were in a tailspin like no other. But the Blues beat the Wild 9-1. Crazy. I mean, what do you say about 1980s hockey, Al?
9-1. I mean, at a certain point, do you just give up or do you just like wave the white flag?
The mercy rule, right? I mean, it's a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. But the Blues opening up just a case of whoop ass in the first 4-1 in that first period, then scoring 3 goals in the second period to the Wild's no goals. And then just for good measure, put 2 more in the third period. So Blues go on 9-1. Still interesting to see where that team is going to end up because their GM has kind of called them out, and yeah, it is kind of amazing what kind of results you can get with the cattle prod. That's for sure. Going over to some to the battle of the Coyotes and the Knights, so desert on desert. The Golden Knights beat out the Coyotes 7-4. This one was kind of an interesting one too. The Golden Knights jumping out to a 4-goal lead in that first. The Coyotes scoring 1 in the second. Golden Knights adding another one, but the Coyotes making it very interesting, scoring 3 in the third period. Unfortunately, they could not come back on the Golden Knights. Fortunately for us, because we're still chasing them down for a spot, but yeah, the Golden Knights putting up a 7 spot there.
Yep.
And then rounding out the evening, we have the Avalanche and the Ducks. Avalanche 2-0 on the Ducks. You would have thought that maybe the Avalanche would have had a little bit more of a curb stomping there, but Gibson doing Gibson things, right?
I feel really bad for Gibson because he's a really good goaltender. Just he's caught in a bad scenario with a bad team that's rebuilding right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you just wonder what he could do with some more talent around him because they've got the goaltender. That kid's a star. So, anyways, rounding out the reach around with the division update. Colorado is your division leader right now with 58 points. Vegas is in second place with 54. Minnesota with 50 points. Arizona with 43 points. And then you've got the St. Louis Blues and the San Jose Sharks nipping at the heels, 42 and 40 points respectively. The Sharks do have 2 games in hand against Arizona and 1 game in hand against St. Louis. So the Sharks might make it a little interesting, but we'll have to see what they will do further on and kind of where they'll really be gauged in the end of the season. If they're able to continue this good mojo going into the rough part of the season, then you might be turning some heads. But it also could be the final nail to the coffin of the Sharks 21 season.
Yeah, I mean, the Sharks are looking for a wild card spot. They're not going to catch the big 3. Vegas, Colorado, and what did we say the last 3 was going to be? St. Louis or Minnesota?
Yeah,
one of those 3. They really did dig themselves a huge hole, and I'm glad they're digging themselves out of it. But right now, they would have to win most of their games in regulation to catch up. They're starting that now, but it's still a long road.
Yeah, still a long road ahead of them. And just a quick thank you to Jerry and Frodo for the donations. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. So, if you missed us or you want to find out more about your favorite team, check us out on all the social media. That would be Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio. We're on every platform, Al. It's just crazy. But then, of course, you can always check us out on tealtownusa.com. Al, where can the people find you? And final thoughts.
You can find me on Twitter at Al Martinet. I'm always talking hockey, always talking sports, always playing video games. Final thoughts. I thought this was a good overall effort, minus the first 5 minutes. Just keep on doing that hockey. But no, just be more consistent every game. Please don't blow another game like the Ducks on Tuesday or Wednesday, and we might dig ourselves into a wild card spot. There is a pathway forward, but
it's the slimmest of margins.
Yeah, right now this is the easier part of the schedule, but 2 weeks from now we're going to be thinking, oh, why can't we play Arizona? So
yeah, that's for sure. And I am at Eric Landi. You can find me on all the social media garbage using my first name. That's Eric with a K, Landi. And as far as the final thoughts go, just start on time tomorrow, boys. I know the feet are not going to be there, so you're going to want to try and exert a little bit more energy in that first to see if you can wear down the Kings and go from there. And of course...